Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jacquelene. You're on A1I's Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV, and I'm back. I was at Burwood East last week doing readings on stage and also one-to-one at my stand. And this weekend, I'm just going out. So I'll also be doing readings from home, but not appearing at any events, any psychic events around Melbourne this week. So it's kind of a bit more cruisy this week. And we've been journeying through the major arcana of the tarot on the shows, and also about a month ago, it was my 8th anniversary of this show. So it's been like 8 years of A1R Psychic Radio, and I started off by calling it Soul Star Radio because I was sort of had a co-host, all that sort of thing, and just got back to the basics in the end of just doing my own thing on the show ever since. And yeah, it's been a really exciting journey, and it's a real honour to be part of the A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV lineup for all this time, being around the world, having a great time. So this week's card, let's get to it. The Star card. I'm just going to bring that forward so you can see it a bit easier. There it is. And hopefully getting a bit more definition to the image. So we sort of see this beautiful girl. She's in front of Pandora's box right there. And she is looking at that star. Now, often you see that card depicted actually as a woman standing there, 1 foot in the water, 1 foot out, and she's sort of, you know, the star's right up there as well. So what is a star card about? Well, in numerology, it's number 17, and in the major arcana of the tarot, that's where we get that number and sort of translates across to 17. So the things about the star card and that day of birth, number 17, I find often people with 17 day of birth will have issues with drawing in all kinds of people, and they'll be quite magnetic. And that 17 comes together as an 8, sort of that yin and yang energy. But in that day of birth, I find people can be drawing all sorts of people in, not just the types they want. So it's kind of like, if you imagine the star card is a little bit like that porch light that you switch on at the back of your house at night. And so there it is, just shining. And, you know, it can kind of make you a magnet. And this is where sometimes some of our, you know, universal laws kind of compete with each other. We talk about the law of attraction and you are what you attract, but it's not always the case because if you put a porch light on at night, it attracts everything. And so can some people who have the star card as their day of birth. They can attract sort of everyone. And the thing to do is not to get into the spiritual bypassing of, you know, you must have attracted them for some reason. Other people's actions are their choice. Your reaction and response to that is yours. There's two very different sort of things there. Yes, everyone can be a teacher and we can always learn ourselves from other people. But sometimes it's about learning, you know, when you open up that light and people see it, how do you then respond to their reactions to that? So, you know, this is about keeping kind of a level head. And in the case of that Pandora's box being open, you sort of think of, you know, once a genie's out of the bottle, it's very hard to put it back in again. And, you know, so sometimes people handle fame and celebrity very differently to each other. And it's like money. Money is an amplifier. So is the spotlight. It's an amplifier. So is pressure. You know, you get put under pressure, your true nature comes out during that, of how you cope with events and different difficulties. The same thing happens for when you have great success. You know, is it something that you stay humble with, or is it something that just goes straight to your head? You know, some people, when they are put in leadership, just keep striving on that energy of being helpful to others and, you know, keeping it real. And then you get other people that as soon as they hit that sense of power, it's like, mine, all mine. A little bit like, you know, Lord Farquaad. I know it's a great sacrifice to make, to sacrifice your lives or to put you on the line and send you out to war, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And it's sort of like, yeah, okay. Righty. You know, it's like also there's on YouTube a clip of Magda Sabansky playing Gina Meinhardt, and she just does it so wonderfully. And she sort of says, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is also mine, because she's mining. um, and often in the spiritual movement, I've seen over the decades, people sort of talk about, we're all one and we're all sharing, and it's mine. And they do talk about, well, what's yours is mine and what's mine is yours. But often it's just what's yours is mine and what's mine is also mine. So when we look at the spotlight, it's really about, keeping it real. And we look at that star card and finding the star within. Often if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, the best thing to do is to stop looking for the end of the tunnel and just go within. Look inside yourself. And also, reach out for help from others that, you see as trustworthy, mature, aware people who can actually hold that space for you, so that you can go within and maybe get some external sort of sounding board and advice and a shoulder to lean on. That sort of thing is really important. But, often when we go inside is when we find the light within ourselves. And, ultimately, when you look at people who are stars, who have self-mastered themselves and are out there doing their thing, and they're very passionate about what they're doing, and it's making them have a reputation that's good, because they're doing what they believe in and they're believing in what they're doing, it sort of follows that people will also feel that energy. So, when you're sort of looking at becoming successful yourself, you're not going to get there by hating on those people. Instead, look at what their example might be bringing up for you, like what insecurity is it bringing up. If a friend is suddenly getting a great deal of success and you're feeling triggered by that, it's like, okay, but, what are you not doing for yourself? If you're sort of obsessed about other people and criticizing them or looking at their faults, it's like, okay, but come back to you and look at what you might need to shift within yourself to get where you want to go. That's sort of an important aspect to really be looking at in life and, growing through. That's always look at things as, what can I learn from this situation? What can I use from this to heal and grow and become better me? And that's, some of the best ways of dealing with this energy. So, that is something I'd really look at and really encourage you to kind of work on as you go along. And certainly if you're wanting to develop psychically, the most important thing to come in touch with and really know it is yourself first. When you look at most of the text, it talks about first know thyself. And that's important, because if you know yourself first, then everyone else you're dealing with, you'll know that, okay, well, that's their energy. This is mine. This is where I sit. This is what I'm about. This is what I'm feeling within me. But when I check into their energy, that's what I'm feeling, and that feels different. And to be able to step away from their energy and to come back into your own and go, right, do a bit of a clearing. Okay, this is what's real and true for me. Okay, I know the difference. So, that's going to be some of the most helpful ways to develop as a psychic, is to actually really get to know what feels right and feels, what actually is going on in your feelings, in your emotional body, your physical body, your mental body, all these different elements of your aura and your physical being, quite literally, to be in touch with that. That's a really important aspect to being able to then know the difference when you're trying to tune into others. One of the biggest mistakes people can make when they're trying to read others is to form a judgment about that person and where they're coming from, without having checked in with themselves. And that's where you can find that reader will give the same repetitive types of messaging to each person. And, that's something to sort of be aware of if you're wanting to develop yourself. Another great aspect of becoming a very good psychic and working with your energies, even if you're not wanting to work as a psychic and you're just wanting to use it for your everyday well-being, or you're working in helping people in some other field and, or even in business, using your gut's instinct, is to really look at making sure you're clearing your own emotional space quite regularly. So self-care is really important. And a thing I find really interesting to ask CEOs and managing directors, which I do when they consult me, is, so what self-care practices are you using for yourself and for your employees and for the organisation? And that can really be quite telling. It's really kind of, even kind of weirder when they don't know what self-care means. So self-care is taking personal accountability. Yep. Self-care can also be things like meditation, going away for a weekend, dancing, which can also be a meditation, counselling where necessary, debriefing, chatting with friends. There's a whole range of things you can do for self-care. Those are important aspects to look at. That's been the star card for this week. I'm going to head on out of here, get back to my readings with my clients at home, and I'll catch you next week on A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV. In the meantime, more shows to come. Catch you next week. Bye-bye.